The best life advice I've ever heard? It's this: happiness isn't something you chase, it's something you create. Sounds simple, right? But here's the thing. Most of us get stuck chasing the wrong things. Validation, achievements, even relationships that don't serve us, thinking they'll fill the emptiness we feel inside. But what if I told you there's a better way? A way to take control of your life, let go of toxic influences, and build a deep, unshakable happiness from within. In this video, we're diving into the ancient wisdom of Stoicism, a philosophy that's not just for history books. It's a guide for living bravely and authentically today. If you've ever felt stuck in negative environments, let fear stop you from pursuing your dreams or doubted your own worth, stick around. We're uncovering the powerful lessons that can transform your mindset, your choices, and ultimately, your life. Ready to rewrite your story? Let's get started. Number 1. The power of self-sufficiency, finding fulfillment within. Imagine waking up one morning, sunlight pouring through your window, and a moment of pure contentment washing over you. There's no specific reason for it, just the quiet peace of being alive. For a fleeting second, life feels enough. But soon the phone buzzes, social media notifications pile in, and your mind starts racing. You wonder, am I doing enough? Am I good enough? Sound familiar? This incessant need for validation, for someone else to approve of our worth, is a battle many of us face daily. At its core, Stoicism offers a radical yet simple truth. Fulfillment comes not from the outside, but from within. The philosopher Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." This means that the applause we chase, the approval we crave, are distractions. True power lies in the ability to find contentment in who we are, not in what others see in us. Think back to your younger days, those quiet moments spent alone, maybe reading, drawing, or just daydreaming. There was no pressure to impress anyone. In those moments, you were enough. As adults, we often lose that sense of self-sufficiency, trading it for external validation. But Stoicism invites us to return to that inner child, to rediscover the completeness within ourselves. Now, here's something curious to ponder. When was the last time you felt truly at peace, without looking to someone or something for approval? What if you could cultivate that peace every day, not as a rare occurrence, but as a natural state? The Stoics believed this was possible, and it starts by shifting our focus inward to our own values and virtues. Number 2. Redefining success. A Stoic perspective. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine standing on a stage. The lights are bright, the applause is thunderous, and you're holding an award, one you've worked years to achieve. For many, this image defines success. But here's a question. What happens when the applause fades, when the stage lights dim, and you're left alone with your thoughts? Does that fleeting moment of validation define your entire life? The Stoics had a different definition of success. To them, success wasn't about accolades or wealth. It was about living according to one's values. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, wrote in his journal, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." For the Stoics, success was measured by virtues like courage, kindness, and resilience, not by external achievements. Think back to a moment when you achieved something significant. Maybe it was graduating from college, landing a dream job, or reaching a personal milestone. Do you remember how quickly the joy faded, replaced by the next goal? That's because the traditional idea of success keeps us chasing an ever-moving target. Stoicism asks us to redefine success, not as a finish line, but as the daily practice of living with integrity and purpose. This perspective might sound unfamiliar or even challenging. After all, We live in a world that constantly measures us by titles, possessions, and followers. But imagine this. What if success was something you carried with you every day? What if it was as simple as being true to yourself? The idea is profound, yet deceptively simple. Are you curious to explore what success could look like when defined on your terms, not society's? Number 3. Breaking free from toxic environments. Picture yourself in a room that's slowly filling with smoke. It's not overwhelming at first. Maybe you can still breathe, still function. But over time, the smoke thickens, and you realize that staying in this space is suffocating you. This is what it feels like to exist in a toxic environment, whether it's a workplace, a relationship, or even a social circle. Why do we stay in these situations, even when they drain us? Often, it's because we convince ourselves we have no choice. The fear of the unknown, the comfort of the familiar, and even doubts about our self-worth keep us stuck. But the Stoics challenge this mindset. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Now let's get personal. Think back to a time when you stayed in a situation that made you unhappy. Maybe it was a job where your talents were overlooked, a friendship where you always felt less than, or a relationship that left you questioning your worth. Why did you stay? And when you finally left, if you did, how did it feel? Number 4. Cultivating inner resilience to overcome negativity. Picture yourself standing in the middle of a storm. The wind howls, rain lashes against your skin, and the ground beneath you trembles. Yet, in the midst of this chaos, you find a sturdy tree, a tree that stands tall and firm, its roots deep and unshaken. That tree symbolizes resilience. Now ask yourself, how deeply rooted are you when life's storms rage? Stoicism teaches us that cultivating inner resilience is key to navigating negativity. Marcus Aurelius referred to the idea of an inner citadel, a fortified place within ourselves that no external chaos can breach. This resilience isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending negativity doesn't exist. Rather, it's about learning to endure and remain unshaken by external turmoil. Think back to a time when life knocked you down, a failed project, a betrayal, or perhaps a moment when you felt utterly defeated. At first, it likely felt unbearable, but as days turned to weeks, you began to stand again, little by little. That strength, that was resilience, your own inner citadel revealing itself. Curiously, the Stoics believed that adversity isn't something to avoid, but something to embrace. Epictetus taught that challenges shape us, much like a sculptor chisels a block of marble into a masterpiece. What if you could see your difficulties not as barriers, but as stepping stones? What would your life look like if you trained yourself to face negativity with courage and purpose, knowing it was refining you into something stronger? Number 5. The courage to change, recognizing your agency. Imagine staring at a fork in the road. One path is familiar, well-trodden, but it no longer feels right. The other path is wild, uncharted, and filled with uncertainty. Choosing to step onto that unknown road takes immense courage, and yet, isn't it true that the most meaningful changes in life come from these moments of bravery? Stoicism reminds us that we often underestimate our capacity for change. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one." This is a call to action, urging us to move beyond fear and hesitation and step into our own agency. Life isn't about waiting for the perfect conditions to change. It's about making the decision to act, no matter how imperfect the circumstances may be. Think about a time when you hesitated to make a change. Maybe it was leaving a toxic job, ending a draining relationship, or even taking a leap of faith to pursue a dream. Do you remember the fear, the what-ifs that paralyzed you. And yet, in hindsight, wasn't staying in the wrong situation far more painful than the uncertainty of change? Here's the curious part. Most of the barriers we face are self-imposed. Fear convinces us that we're trapped, but the Stoics remind us that we always have a choice. What if the courage to change isn't something you lack, but something you already possess, waiting to be awakened? What would you choose if you believed, without a doubt, that you were capable of building a better life? Number 6. Overcoming fear with negative visualization. Have you ever laid awake at night, your mind racing with what-if scenarios? What if I fail? What if I lose everything? What if I'm not good enough? Fear is a master of exaggeration, painting worst-case scenarios so vividly that they paralyze us. But what if you could turn this tendency into a tool for empowerment rather than anxiety? The Stoics practice something called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This involves deliberately imagining worst-case scenarios, not to dwell on them, but to diminish their hold over us. Marcus Aurelius himself wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By envisioning the worst and preparing for it, we realize that most of our fears are manageable and many are far less terrifying than they seem. Think about a fear you've faced in the past. Maybe it was a fear of rejection, failure, or loss. At the time, it probably felt overwhelming. But now, looking back, wasn't the reality often less daunting than your imagination made it out to be? That's the power of negative visualization. It strips fear of its exaggeration and gives us clarity. Here's something to ponder. What if you could practice this technique for your current fears? Picture the worst-case scenario, not to scare yourself, but to confront it head-on. What would it feel like to know that, even in the face of failure or hardship, you have the strength to endure and adapt? Could this shift in perspective free you from the paralyzing grip of fear and empower you to take bold steps toward your dreams? Number 7. Embracing amor fati, loving your fate. Close your eyes for a moment and think of a time when life didn't go as planned. Perhaps it was a missed opportunity, a painful breakup, or a failure that left you questioning everything. In moments like these, it's easy to feel betrayed by fate, to wish things had turned out differently. But what if, instead of resisting these events, you could learn to embrace them? The Stoic principle of amor fati, or love of fate, invites us to do exactly that. It's more than mere acceptance of what happens to us. It's a wholehearted embrace of life in all its messiness, its triumphs and tragedies, its joys and sorrows. Nietzsche would later echo this idea, writing, "My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity." Think about a moment when a setback ultimately led to something better. Maybe losing a job pushed you to discover a passion, or a failed relationship taught you valuable lessons about love and self-respect. At the time, these events probably felt like the end of the world, but in hindsight, they were stepping stones, weren't they? Here's the curiosity. What if every twist and turn in your life is part of a larger, beautiful tapestry that's still unfolding? How would your perspective shift if you trusted that even the hardships are shaping you into a stronger, wiser version of yourself? Imagine approaching life not with resistance, but with gratitude for every experience, knowing that each one has a purpose. Could amor fati help you find peace, even in chaos? Number 8. Intrinsic worth, beyond external validation. Imagine holding a gem in your hand, one so radiant that its value is undeniable. Now imagine that gem is you, your intrinsic worth, shining regardless of whether others recognize it. And yet, how often do we place our self-worth in the hands of others? letting their opinions or approval dictate how we feel about ourselves. Stoicism challenges this mindset by teaching that our worth is not determined by external validation, but by the virtues we cultivate within ourselves. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." True freedom, he argued, comes from within, from recognizing our inherent value and living in alignment with our virtues, not chasing external accolades. Think back to your childhood or early adulthood. How often did you seek approval, whether it was a parent's praise, a teacher's recognition, or a friend's acceptance? And when you didn't receive it, how did it make you feel? That sting, that sense of inadequacy. It wasn't because you lacked worth, but because you placed it in the hands of someone else. Here's a question worth pondering. What would happen if you stopped seeking validation from others and started validating yourself? What if you focused on cultivating kindness, courage, and integrity rather than chasing titles or applause? Would you finally feel the freedom that comes from knowing your worth is immutable, like the stars in the night sky? Number 9. The Stoic path to happiness. Picture a warm summer evening, the sun setting in hues of gold and crimson. You're surrounded by loved ones, laughter filling the air. In that moment, you feel a deep sense of contentment, a fleeting yet profound happiness. Now ask yourself, how often do you chase happiness, thinking it's something to achieve rather than something to live? Stoicism offers a radical approach to happiness. It's not a destination or a reward, but a way of living. The Stoics believed that happiness arises from aligning your actions with your values, practicing gratitude, and focusing on what lies within your control. Seneca wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future." Think about the moments that have truly made you happy. Was it the promotion you worked so hard for? Or was it the small unplanned moments, a hug from a loved one, a quiet walk in nature, or the satisfaction of helping someone in need? Curiously, happiness often finds us when we stop chasing it and start living intentionally. Now consider this. What if the happiness you seek isn't out there, but within you, waiting to be uncovered? What if the key lies in shifting your focus from what you lack to what you already have, from seeking perfection to embracing the beauty of imperfection? Could this perspective transform the way you experience your daily life? Number 10. The role of gratitude in finding joy. Pause for a moment and think about the last time you felt truly grateful. Was it for a small gesture of kindness, a stranger holding the door for you, a friend sending you a thoughtful message? Or was it for something more profound, like overcoming a tough time or reuniting with someone dear? Whatever it was, didn't it feel like the world became a little brighter, even if just for a moment? Gratitude is a cornerstone of Stoicism, not as a fleeting emotion but as a daily practice. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in his Meditations, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." Gratitude shifts our focus from what we lack to the abundance already present in our lives. It's a reminder that joy isn't found in distant achievements, but in the richness of the present moment. Take a step back and think about your daily life. How often do you rush through it, ticking off tasks and chasing goals, only to collapse into bed feeling unfulfilled? What if instead you paused to notice the sunrise, the laughter of a child, or the warmth of your morning coffee? These moments, simple and fleeting, are the essence of joy, but only if we take the time to see them. Here's something to wonder. How would your life change if you practiced gratitude every day? What if, instead of dwelling on your problems, you listed 3 things you're thankful for each evening? Could this simple act help you unlock a deeper, more lasting sense of happiness. Number 11. Building supportive communities for growth. Imagine a garden, lush and vibrant, each plant flourishing under the care of a dedicated gardener. Now imagine that you are one of those plants, and your environment, your community, is the soil in which you grow. How healthy is your soil? The Stoics recognized the profound impact of our surroundings on our ability to live virtuously and find happiness. They taught that while we are responsible for our own actions, our relationships and communities shape us in powerful ways. Seneca observed, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." The process is mutual, for men learn while they teach. Think about the people you spend the most time with. Do they inspire you, uplift you, and support your growth? Or do they drain your energy, leaving you feeling undervalued or stuck? Reflecting on this can be uncomfortable, but it's essential. After all, as the saying goes, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Now consider this. What if you could create a community that nurtures your growth and well-being? What if you surrounded yourself with people who challenge you to be better, who celebrate your successes and help you through tough times? Could this be the key to unlocking your potential and finding lasting fulfillment? Number 12. Living bravely, becoming the architect of your destiny. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a vast canyon, the horizon stretching endlessly before you. It's exhilarating and terrifying at the same time. That's what life feels like when you realize the power you have to shape your own destiny. The question is, will you take that first step, or will you stay safely on the ledge? The Stoics believed that courage is the foundation of a meaningful life. They taught that while we cannot control what happens to us, we can control how we respond, and that response defines our character. Epictetus wrote, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." In other words, bravery begins with a vision of who you want to become and the willingness to act on it. Think about a time when fear held you back. Maybe it was a job opportunity you didn't pursue, a conversation you avoided, or a dream you let slip away. At that moment, the fear of failure, judgment, or the unknown felt insurmountable. But now, looking back, don't you wonder what might have been if you'd taken the leap? Here's a question to sit with. What if you stopped letting fear dictate your choices? What if, instead of fearing failure, you embraced it as part of the journey? Could this shift in perspective empower you to take control of your life and become the architect of your own happiness? If you've made it this far, you're already proving something incredible about yourself. You're willing to invest in your growth, your happiness, and your future. Drop a 100 in the comments if you've watched this far, because that puts you in the 0.01% who don't just start something, but actually see it through to the end. If you're serious about transforming your mindset and embracing a life of purpose, courage, and inner peace, join us by subscribing to the channel. Together, we'll continue to explore these timeless lessons, empowering each other to live bravely and authentically. Let this be the beginning of your journey to becoming the best version of yourself.